Today, as LaMichael James made his appearance, he was sentenced to 24 months probation. He must have no contact with the victim under this plea deal.
Don't ask me how I found this, just know it took a long time. I got the official court documents. What I'm about to read off to you next is a description of what happened between LaMichael James and his ex-girlfriend, and this was filed to the court. This is LaMichael James. Looks like he's dead in the water, doesn't it? That'll change in a few seconds.
James trying to get to the outside, looking for a block.
As you can see, he turned nothing into something. But that shouldn't shock you because he is one of the best running backs in college football history. As a freshman in the year 2009, he had over 1,500 rushing yards and 14 touchdowns. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that's not something you're going to see every day in the Power 5 conference. When it comes to evaluating players, I have levels. There's average, good, really good, great, elite, and then LaMichael James. Just how great was he at Oregon? Well, let's finish off this play. As you can see, there is a Tennessee Volunteer defender with his arms completely wrapped around LaMichael James. And somehow, some way, it still didn't slow him down.
Shakes another tackle. James!
What you just watched might be one of the most underrated runs of all time. Some people would go as far as saying that's an insane run from LaMichael James. Others would say it's just a casual Saturday. Moral of the story is, this guy made plays left and right. But right when his career was at an all-time high as an Oregon Duck, this happened. He got into we'll label it as a situation with his girlfriend at the time, or now ex-girlfriend. What was really intriguing about this is the media and everybody in general, they were slandering LaMichael James, saying, how could he do this? He's such a terrible person. You had everybody taking the girl's side, and people were distraught at the fact that he would even consider doing what he did, or at least supposedly he did. So Detective Matt being in the building, I dug up the official court documents. We'll leave it at this for now. The entire story wasn't told. Despite that dispute with his girlfriend, LaMichael James is known not just as an Oregon legend, but a college football legend. But here's a million-dollar question. What happened to him after Oregon? Because when you think about it, you didn't hear of anything about LaMichael James playing in the NFL, not even to the slightest of bits. There hasn't been any updates about this guy since he has taken off that Oregon uniform. For that reason, it leads us to the main question we're going to try to get to the bottom of in today's video. What really happened to LaMichael James? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, hope all of you are having a great and fantastic day. If not, hope this video can make it a little bit better. And major shout out to, I actually had a lot of you in the comments recommend this video, but I'm going to shout out JJ0244. So yeah, thank you for that. And what is this? I'm scrolling through the comment section on the previous video. Might be giving back shots to alright, bro. What is... I don't even know what to say to that. I'm like I didn't see it. My brother in Christ, I don't know what inclined you to write that comment, but yeah, you need some help. Anyways, continuing along here. One more comment. This was the top like comment on yesterday's video, and I'd like to share with you guys. I'm homeless in my 2010 Mazda 3. Your videos help me out. Thank you, especially during the hot days. Well, first things first, it's very humbling that you can come to our channel, our community, and escape reality for a few minutes of your day, or about 15-20 minutes, and have a good time here. We enjoy your company. Secondly, I hate that you're having to go through that, and hopefully things get better for you. As you can see, the original comment has about 15 replies to it, and I want to give a major shout out to our community, to you guys, for showing him a lot of love in the comment section. I appreciate you being vulnerable with us, because that is not an easy thing to share. Wishing you the best of luck. And then we got this comment. We're all still waiting for the what happened to your hairline video. Alright, one more comment like that, buddy, and you're getting banned. I've jibber-jabbered enough. Strap in, buckle up, get you a snack, get you a popcorn, get your favorite meal you like to eat and watch a video, because trust me, I do the same thing. But alright, Matt, blah, blah, shut the crap up. Now, without further ado, let's get into it. Mr. LaMichael James played his high school football in the state of Texas, where, ironically enough, and this may be hard to believe, he wasn't a highly regarded and touted prospect. He was only listed as a 3-star recruit, and I know that's not very low, but it's also not very high considering how good he was at the collegiate level. If you do want to know a little bit about his glory days in high school, as a senior, he had over 2,000 rushing yards with 24 touchdowns, and here's the most impressive part. He averaged 8.9 yards per carry. Pretty dang good if you gotta ask me. As far as it goes for his recruitment process, well, you already know we've talked about it in the intro. he decided to commit and sign with Oregon. Heading into his freshman year in 2009, it didn't appear that LaMichael James was going to be the starting running back for Oregon because they had a guy ahead of him that went by the name of LeGarrette Blount. And I don't know why I remember this so vividly, but I'm sure if I remember it, some of you do as well. The LeGarrette Blount incident against Boise State, that happened in 2009. If you don't know what I'm referring to make a long story short, in the season opener, yet again in 2009, to clarify here, LeGarrette Blount, he wasn't too fond of what the Boise State players were saying after the game, and he punched one of the guys. I remember how wild that was back then, and we probably need to make a video on LeGarrette Blount because now that I think about it, where's that guy at? Anyways, different video for a different day. The point is, Blount got suspended. And since that was the season opener, that meant from then on out, LaMichael James was going to be the starter, and that's what happened. James went off that season and was named Pac-10 Freshman of the Year. I think I might have said in the intro Pac-12 once, but back then, I believe if I'm not mistaken here, it was just the Pac-10. I'll show you his numbers. He had 1,546 rushing yards, averaging 6.7 yards per carry. That's insane, with 14 touchdowns. Things were looking great for James. That was up until early March in 2010. This is when LaMichael James would get arrested for what is labeled as quote-unquote physical harassment against his former girlfriend. To give you some more context here, this shocked everybody because people that knew LaMichael back then, he wasn't this bad guy. He wasn't an aggressive guy. He wouldn't do anything like that. The story wasn't adding up, but to make matters even worse, he wound up pleading guilty. When he pled guilty, that's when everybody was really thrown onto the fire because if you're innocent, you're not going to plead guilty to it, or at least that's what people don't think. Here's LaMichael James' official statement to the court, quote unquote. I'm so sorry that she has been treated by some people as though she deserved the blame for this. She does not. Continuing along, I ask people to treat her with respect. She has not done anything wrong. Very mature words from him, and the reason he came out and stated that is because a lot of people were mad at the girl trying to say, oh, well, you should just let it go, let it slide. You're trying to ruin his career and ruin his livelihood. He's about to go to the NFL. Here's what James had to say about the incident itself, quote unquote. I hope to put this matter behind me now and learn from it. I have made a mistake and accept the consequences. I look forward to demonstrating to my university, to my team, and to the community that I'm a better man than recent events suggest. Yet again, very mature words, but as I was reading up on all this, I was like, man, something doesn't seem right. I just didn't get the vibes that LaMichael James actually was the bad guy in all of this. I didn't. But I asked myself this question. Okay, if he wasn't the bad guy, why did he plead guilty? Don't ask me how I found this, just know it took a long time. I got the official court documents. What I'm about to read off to you next is a description of what happened between LaMichael James and his ex-girlfriend, and this was filed to the court. You're going to see the word defendant in here, and that is referring to LaMichael James. The victim is his girlfriend. At the time the incident offense took place, the defendant and the victim had been in a committed, intimate relationship for a significant period of time. Yet again, that's LaMichael James and his girlfriend. They had introduced each other to family members and were very close. When the victim learned that the defendant had a female house guest from outside Oregon, she went to the defendant's residence to speak with his guest. In other terms here, somehow, some way, LaMichael James's girlfriend or ex-girlfriend, whichever way you want to word it, found out that LaMichael had another girl over, and she went to the house like a lunatic, like a crazy person. The house guest was alarmed, refused to let the victim into the residence, and subsequently called the defendant. Shortly thereafter, the defendant, James here, arrived at his residence and told the victim to leave. He physically removed the victim from the area immediately in front of his residence door. Before we go any farther, let me dumb this down for you if you're lost. LaMichael James's girlfriend showed up to LaMichael James's house and refused to leave. Meanwhile, his other girl he's seen at the time is inside. She's scared. She's frightened. She doesn't know what's going on. His ex-girlfriend's standing out there probably causing a major scene saying, I'm not leaving, I'm not leaving. So LaMichael James, he moved her out from the door. I'm not saying LaMichael James is in the right here. I'm just saying they didn't put out all this information when this case was going on years ago. Imagine you pull up to your house and somebody's standing in front of the door talking about, I'm not getting out the way. I think a majority of us out here, maybe not a majority, but some of us would move them out the way so we could get in our own house. Continuing along here right after the door, while the defendant was holding onto the victim's arm, she grabbed the defendant's necklace. So you got LaMichael James just grabbing her arm, moving her to the side, and she grabs his necklace. So You got two people in the wrong here, at least in my opinion. She advised that she would not let go of his necklace unless he released her. During the ensuing push and pull, the defendant's necklace broke and he became angry. Which is rightfully so. If you break my necklace, I'm going to be angry too. Defendant admits that he grabbed the victim by her collar and pushed her against his car, which, yeah, that's a big no-no. Can't be doing that. The victim then got into the defendant's vehicle and removed his keys from the ignition. Defendant, going along to the next page, grabbed the victim to remove her from his vehicle, but she kept his keys and ran from the car. Defendant caught the victim, grabbed her waist, and they fell to the ground in the bark mulch. Defendant removed his keys from the victim's hand, ending the physical interaction. The parties talked without further physical contact before the defendant drove away. So that right there, ladies and gentlemen, according to the official court documents that were filed, is what happened. That is the, I'm throwing air quotes around this if you could see me, but I'll just say it, quote unquote, full story. And even at that right there, that might not give us all the details, but we know way more than before, because originally it just stated, oh yeah, he physically assaulted somebody and was harassing them. But when you hear the full story, you're like, well, it doesn't sound as black and white as it did before. Let me clarify if I haven't said it already. I'm not saying LaMichael James is in the right. He shouldn't have done what he did. He most certainly should have put his hands on the female, but you kind of can understand why he did it. Number one, she pulled up to his house, refused to leave. Number two, she broke his necklace. And number three, she went in his car and stole his keys. If you'll remember, like I stated a few minutes ago, this was in early March, so the offseason before his second year at Oregon. Chip Kelly wound up only suspending him for the season opener, and after that, his career at Oregon continued to prolong, and he had a really good year. If what I'm about to say next doesn't show you how good LaMichael James was back then, I don't know what will. Although he missed that first game in 2010, he still broke the Pac-10 all-time sophomore single-season rushing record. In that season, he had 1,731 rushing yards and 21 touchdowns, and also 3 receiving touchdowns. The dude was an absolute beast. Fast forward time into 2011, it was a carbon copy paste. But listen to this. He had less carries, almost 50 less carries from 2010, but he had more rushing yards. He had 1,805 rushing yards, averaging an unreal 7.3 yards per carry and 18 touchdowns. The man couldn't be stopped. He was tearing up college defenses left and right, and since he had a great junior season, he announced that he's going to forego his final year eligibility and declare for the NFL draft. This is where in the 2012 NFL draft, he was selected with the 61st overall pick in the second round by the San Francisco 49ers. At the time, it seemed like a match made in heaven. The 49ers, a really great football team, LaMichael James, really great player. It looked like a recipe for success. This guy dominated college football not just 1 year, but 3 straight seasons. He never had a year at the collegiate level with less than 1,500 rushing yards. Think about that. So why would anybody with a functional brain cell think, oh yeah, he's going to be a flop in the NFL? It just didn't make any sense to state that. Unfortunately for San Francisco, things didn't work out so well. Barely played in that first year. He only had 27 carries for 125 yards. In the following season, 2013, he only had 12 rushes for 59 yards. It is worth being mentioned for the 49ers, he did have a costly fumble in the Super Bowl against Baltimore, which will come back to play in just a second. Remember that. In 2014, he signed to the Miami Dolphins practice squad, and not too much happened after that. Wasn't too long after, in 2015, almost exactly a year after they signed him, that's when the Dolphins officially waived him. For the Dolphins, in 2 years, he only had 3 carries for 9 yards. It appears to seem, at least on paper at least, that LaMichael James never got a fair shot in the NFL. But why is that? Instead of giving you my opinion, I decided, you know what, let's see what other people got to say about it. According to this now deleted comment, here's what they state. He fumbles a lot. LaMichael just ain't good. Just one of those college players that thrived in a spread/option system. He fumbled in the preseason, got a chance to return in the regular season, and then fumbled again. Was cut the next day and hasn't found a team since. These two are pretty funny, they're short and simple. Not good, he's bad at football. This one's just straight up ruthless. I don't think he's good at American football. Here's an interesting one. Longtime Washington Husky fan and Hawks fan checking in, who watched his fair share of Oregon Ducks games and his time with San Francisco. ... The dude has 0, in all caps, lateral quickness. Huh. Interesting. What do y'all think about that? And how about we do this? I'll leave it up to you guys. Let me know in the comment section. Why do you think things didn't work out for LaMichael James? With all the comments we just read off, I'll chalk it up to, I think it's a combination of all of them. I am curious to see what you guys got to say, but continuing along here, that was in 2015. It's 2024. What's he been doing these past couple of years? Ever since his football days, LaMichael James has opened up 3 separate locations of a franchise that goes by the name of Killer Burger. Also, too, you gotta throw this in there. I saved this for the end of the video. He no longer goes by the name of LaMichael James. He prefers LaMike. I didn't want to call him LaMike all throughout this video because I know 90% of people remember him as LaMichael James, and y'all have been like, Matt, why are you calling him LaMike? But he does prefer LaMike, and to LaMike James, if you are somehow someone seeing this video, my brother, great story, wishing you the best of luck, and I hope you continue to see a lot of success in your business. There's many more things I could say. We'll end it off here. Let me know your thoughts down below, but Roman.